It's time for another mystery meat sack. I think this is number 5. Um, I just want to take a second and just talk about my intentions of mystery meat sack because I've done it in a separate video, but I'm just going to do it now. So um, I've had probably 8 readings of my own, and I find each one I learn something new because it comes from someone else's perspective. But I notice that most uh, human design analysts out there don't seem to have a demo of what they do. On social media, it's more like they just talk about stuff. And I think a lot of people would gravitate to this knowledge or appreciate it more if they could hear it, like observe it in conversation and go, oh, I recognize that in myself and I can see that in my body graph. And they might then want to speak to that particular person. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. Plus, I just get to keep learning, and it was getting expensive paying for design readings all the time. So with that, I want to bring on my new friend, James Deans. Oh, see, I knew I'd screw that up. How do I get there? I forgot how to do that. Oh, right. There we go. Hey, everybody, this is James Deans. Uh,
Hello.
we met only like a week and a half ago because we're both going to the High Desert Human Design Conference, and so we both have
Mhm.
a mutual acquaintance or friend in Jonah Dempsey. And yeah, James, tell us about yourself.
Hello. My name's James Deans. I'm a 1-4 self authority projector, riding across of the Sphinx, and I live in Phoenix, Oregon. There is a Phoenix, Oregon. Most people just know Phoenix, Arizona, but I live by Ashland basically. And
Cool.
I have 2 daughters, and I'm really into hip hop music.
Right on. And I think I know the answer to this, but how long have you been in the experiment?
Oh, I've been in my experiment for 2 years, diving in, and I found out about human design in 2013. I had my first reading, a lot like Jonah, where I had a reading. I believed it. It really resonated, but it never stuck around me. Nobody else knew about it, and it kind of faded away for a while. And when I found myself in a kind of a depression, I think I was going through my Uranus opposition up here and trying to find what I want to do with my life. And I would love to remember the moment. I don't know why I got back into. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if I found one video or what happened, but somehow I started looking up human design videos on YouTube, and I found some people, and here we are today. Now it's like 2 years strong. I mean, it's my daily. I don't go a day without thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I think I was either reading your mind or reading yours, but it's like, what was that moment where you're just like,
Right.
oh, that's it, right? But
I
you know,
actually tried. I actually tried to look at my YouTube history. I tried to go back as far as I could into the part to say what was I looking at? Like, what was the first video that caught my mind, or why did I bring it back up into my life? Like, how?
hmm
Why would it be in my algorithm if I'm not looking for it? Like,
yeah,
what was it?
yeah. And then like for me, it was like the first time was this weekend I had 2 years ago, a shamanic thing with plant medicine and all that stuff, and that all
Hmm.
they asked was, we're curious, we're into this human design thing. If someone told you that the pot was hot on the stove, would you believe them or would you need to touch it? And I was like, oh, I need to touch it, man. And
Uh,
so I like remember that so clearly. And then they said some other stuff, and it was a whole big thing. It was still probably 4 months till I kind of returned to it, but like that
hmm.
just stuck in my head, and I was like, oh man, I don't know why that's so simple, but and then the evidence kept coming on, and then yeah, but it's interesting, right? Like I think you need to see it a few times and just have it click, and then it gets to like a cellular level,
Yeah,
like just a knowing. It's crazy.
yeah, definitely. I was talking to Jonah about knowing this, and I think we're very much similar. Where I have so much respect for this system and Ra and the people who brought it in and the people who've carried his torch. It's so deep. It's almost, I'm like, this is one of those systems that you can't learn in one lifetime almost. It's so deep. It feels like it's so deep. And I was far from going to go out there and go, hey, I know this system. I can read. I do a reading. I've been studying this for a week,
Hmm.
and so, after 2 years of doing this, and I worked with Karen Curry Parker and got slightly certified, at least for the first level 1 and 2 through her system. I was talking to Jonah, talking about knowing and not knowing, and then he goes, I told him I had gate 48. He goes, oh, you know the system then. And it was, he's like, you know it. You got the 48. Oh, you know it. And it's like so funny. It's like I listen to Jonah talk, and I'm like, this dude is he's a savant. I mean, he's like, what? Like, I know, where's it? I looked at his chart. Like, I thought for sure he'd have his ajna, because like, how does he pull this? I guess that's the genius. He just has it from everywhere, because
Mm.
he pulls from everywhere. I thought he just had the mind on him is so phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. And as a 3.5 MG, I'm not sure I'll ever do
Yeah.
it. I'll just move on to something else maybe or
Yeah.
something. But yeah,
I'll
I mean,
just appreciate.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, admire for sure. Yeah, I think that's what excites me about human design probably most is I know I'll never get to the end of it
Right,
because
right.
I'm interested in plants and their design and the sleep rave and like I dabble in all of this stuff to the point where I'll just tell you 'cause that's not even for the purpose of this, but like I made a Spotify or a YouTube playlist that starts with a yoga nidra to get grounded,
Mm,
and then it does a whole bunch of light language
mm,
with that, but like basically these light codes,
mm-hmm.
but I chose them based on the not self, like on correcting that. So as I sleep,
Ah,
I'm getting this light language that counters. And the whole idea was I wanted to wake up every morning knowing who I was. So at the end of it, I also have a bunch of affirmations that are related to my type. So because each day, my understanding of the sleep rate is you kind of come back on. You have to remind yourself.
yeah.
So I actually have been experimenting with feeding myself with it while I sleep. So I wake up in the morning going like booting up like a fresh computer and being like,
Man,
"Who you are, man."
I like
And
that. That's
the days that
awesome.
I do that, yeah. The problem is I share a bedroom with my wife, of course, but we've got the
Yeah.
bed separated, which is great, and she's on board with that now finally. But I can't listen to it with a speaker because she's 10 feet away. So I wake up with my AirPods like one will be like stuck in my ear, one will be on my shirt, right? So I gotta tweak that. I've already told her the long term goal is to buy the house next door, and we'll just move
Ah.
together, right?
Ah.
So yeah,
I like that.
that's my
Yeah.
2 to 5 year plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sleep in the studio in the garage.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It, well, the whole sleep thing we could talk about for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Back to the okay. So today we're doing a mystery meat sack,
Okay.
and so here we go. And you haven't seen this in advance.
Nope.
Um, maybe just to clarify, some folks that have done it have asked to see it in advance because they've got their own way of preparing.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't seen this whatsoever. So
Nope.
and so
Just
we're gonna go in blind. Make sure there's nothing there that I don't want you to see yet. Perfect. Good. All
you know
right.
that.
I'm gonna hide away the caption here too, just so you can see this. Sorry, you were gonna say something?
You know what they say. You know the spirit. Actually, I did know. I've already seen it in a few seconds in advance. My soul already looked at it. You know that whole thing about like the images, that test they did on people. They would. You ever heard about that? They set people down in front of a TV and they were showing them images, and then they would test when the brain. They had the like, sensors on the brain, and they would test when the brain would act up. And before they were about to show them something pretty horrific, like let's say horrific images, the brain would already start to prepare for that image before they ever put the image on TV. It's part of the whole remote viewing thing. It's part of the idea that we can see before that we have a
Right.
intuition.
So I didn't accidentally share it. You mean you've already kind of felt like you saw what was
I
coming?
was just kind of making a joke, almost like like
Oh,
no, my soul's already seen it, but I'm going to see it for the first time right now.
yeah. There's so many things to say that too, of just
Yeah.
like premonition, and you
Yes.
were talking about like this person has the 1057 like I do, and I get a ringing in my ears when something's
Uh
coming.
huh.
Like there's all that kind of
Yeah.
activation, right? So
The 57 is the most psychic channel in the body too. They said the gate.
yeah, I'm starting to learn, and didn't realize until okay. Anyways, I got to stop talking because this is
Yes.
see what you got to say. So, by the way, on the side here, I've always got my little Trello card, and I'll just make little notes because I want to circle back because when we reveal who the person is, I don't want to forget and all of it. But
Okay.
don't mind me if I'm typing away. But
90%
yeah, take away,
generosity.
man. Like, what would be
Sacred.
your process if you were to sit down with this person and
Six
talk?
two. Does that say wholeness? Left angle cross of wholeness. Oh, what is it? Wise
Where do you see that?
wishes. Oh, what
Oh,
is it? What
left
is
angle
there
cross of wishes. Yeah,
of what?
left angle cross of wishes.
Wishes. Oh, that's cool. I've never got that one.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it myself.
I know there's so many crosses, so I'm more new to this too. But
Yeah.
if I was to sit down with this person, the first thing I would say is I would start to explain. I would tell you you're a manifesting generator, so you are quick and powerful, and you're here to skip steps.
Hmm.
You're here to teach people. You're here to do things a lot, and then basically go, okay, I've already done that 20 times. This is what you need to do.
Hmm.
So like, you also don't want to go too fast. There's a pace to it. Um, I would say either single definition with all those centers. That's pretty cool. That means you only have one person inside of you living, making it a little easier. You're single definition too, right? With all your channels.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Like I have the same open centers
Uh huh.
and single definition
Oh,
and
that's
then
true.
and so yep.
Yeah. Okay. And being the hermit role model, so you're the role model, so you're going to have a three-phase life, right? You're going to have your first 30 years, you're going to be the three. And the three is going to bump their head. The three is going to learn and earn wisdom, by being a three, you're going to go through it. You're going to be like a social scientist. You're going to be out there working, figuring out things. And then that's what's going to gain you your wisdom to become the role model when you become a six. And then between 30 and 50, you're going to become an objective role model where you're going to be now, okay, I don't want to just run out there and bump my head anymore so fast. I want to slow down a little bit. I want to say, do I really want to do this? I already bumped my head a couple of times. Maybe I don't want to do that anymore. Let's try this over here. You're going to become more objective with what you choose. And then when we get into the flowering year, which is the 50th year in human design, which a lot of people really appreciate, that human design really values 50 years old. And it's not about youth and beauty, it's about experience and wisdom. And so when you turn into the role model at 50, you're going to have this lifetime of experience that you're going to be able to share with people, which is going to become very valuable, which helps you be the role model.
Can
Um,
can I say something there too?
yes.
I've heard other people say 55. So how, like, because it's all math and this person would be going through their Chiron returns because
Yeah.
they're 50 basically now, but
Well,
then there's
uh,
that like is it yeah, I'm just
but
curious about that. I've heard of different numbers.
I'm pretty sure Barbara Ditlow, if I'm right, I want to quote her wrong, told me 50, 30 to 50, and then 50 on. And
Yep.
50 is the flowering age. I've heard 50 a few times from different people. So, but I mean, plus or minus, right? I mean,
Yep.
everyone's different. Who knows? Maybe somebody kicks in Chiron a little earlier. It's probably not all like exactly this day. These are probably numbers that were given to like just know what to look for in that time. So I would be more open. Obviously, everyone's in their own flow. Everyone has their own unique design. So I would say, of course, maybe everyone's a little different. Maybe it's 51 for some people. Maybe it's 49,
Yep.
right? Um, so I would first break down manifesting generator, what that is, again, to respond. This person is sacral, but at the same time, learning from the Richard Beaumont reading, he or she has the spleen, has the 34 to 57, right? So that is going to be a splenic powered manifesting generator, meaning be aware of that intuition, the quick intuition that comes from there.
Yep.
Um, so that is something to definitely look at with this chart. Another thing I would start to tell people would be, okay, so you see the filled in centers, you see the ones that are colored in.
Hmm.
Those are your defined centers, and we will say that that is what you have to use. That's what's at your fingertips in this lifetime. That
Hmm.
is what people will see in you. This is who you're going to feel like to other people. This person is going to know who they are with their G center in the middle that's activated. They're going to be able to talk it, even though it's a little unconscious. They do have the 731, but they're still going to have that leadership, and it's going to come out in their throat. You're going to have energy. You've got you. So what I tell people with this, when you have the sacral center, you have the ability for evolution. You have the ability for mutation. You are here to affect the world. For someone like myself, who's a projector, I'm here to help people who have that. Utilize that because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants your sacral center. They want that energy. Come work for me. Come work for me. Come work for me. Right?
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, but you got to do something you love, or you'll end up being frustrated as the generator, manifesting generator. So you got to make sure it's something you really love because whatever you give that energy to is going to be very precious. And so, if you have that, you're a special individual on this planet. Now, 70% of the world have it, and that's great. That it's actually very positive because that means a lot of people could do a lot of good work for this world if they knew how to use it. And
Hmm.
that's what human design is trying to do, right? Ross said human design is here to help people love themselves. It's just that nobody really knows who they are yet, and that's
Right.
what this is, a self discovery system. And so I would say that's awesome that you have that, because that's beautiful. You also have your spleen, which is going to be health and intuition and awareness. So you're going to have a strong sense of intuition. You can react quickly, and you are going to have a good immune system. And from what I've been told with this is like this is a immune system that can handle, let's say, if you like to go to the doctors, if you're a person, you say you have a cold and you want to go to the doctors, they prescribe you something for that, you can take that. Your system can handle that. Where I have an open spleen, where that's more of a holistic system, where if I feel a little under the weather, I probably go get acupuncture to handle the whole body. I have something going on in my energetic flow. So that's a difference between those two. Is that this person could definitely handle some medication from the doctors or prescribe medication with that. Um, One of the main things in human design, the way we really divide human design is if you're on the wave or off the wave. And so this person would be off the wave with the on the right there, the emotional solar plexus is open with only one gate activated, which is the six, which is a very powerful, sensual, sexual gate of breaking down people's barriers and the gate of penetration. I don't know if the six that's what it's called, but it has that theme. Um, but what is it?
Uh,
Friction,
Friction. Yeah.
the gate of
Gate.
friction. Yeah. So that, but not having that emotional solar plexus is meaning that you're not on the emotional wave. Though, in I found many people who don't have that still feel, oh, that's crazy. I'm very emotional, and then so that would make sense because, like myself, who doesn't have that, I thought I was pretty emotional too, per se. But what it is, how I'll tell people, anything that's in the white, all these five centers that are white and open, that means that's what you're here to be wise about.
Hmm.
These are the centers that you're learning in this lifetime. This is what you've come to earn. These are the gates and the stuff you've come to like activate in a sense, right? To start to learn. It's also where you're going to take in the most conditioning, meaning when you're around your parents or the people you grew up with, your friends, and they have those channels, you may feel like you have those centers as well,
Hmm.
because you'll feel like oh, I've got all kinds of willpower. I can do whatever I want. Well, maybe your mom or dad both had that filled in, and you did think you could do that, or your partner has that filled in, and you think you could do whatever you want. But the truth is, when you have that center open, you're really here not here to prove anything to anybody, and here to learn your self worth. That's something that I'm learning a lot. I have my will center open as well, and something that's really been a big challenge to me. I've always tried to try to do everything myself, try to prove, and then I have to know my worth. And so when I found out that I did not have to prove myself, and I have nothing to prove to anyone, and to know my worth, it was such a relief to my soul. And with this chart, with the having the open root center down here at the bottom, um, this also means you have nothing to do, because when you have your open head center up top and the bottom, that they say that you can have basically a to-do list that never ends.
Yes.
And so I know that very well, having both those open. And what I would say to that is, when I found out about that open root at the bottom, that we're really here not to work on other people's time. These are people that would like to, almost be like a massage therapist that works for yourself, or be a. So I do music production. I have a studio, and people book sessions with me. I can make my own timing. I do human design analysis. I can make my own timing. When I used to have to go to work and be at a time on a job, I could do it, but it was hard on me. I was late sometimes. And it's like we're not really people to be there this time every day. Boom, boom, boom. That's not our flow.
Hmm.
Well, with someone with the root could do that. They like things in the schedule. They can put it in time, and they can get there, and they can handle that. They can handle what I was told. They can handle the hustle and bustle of the everyday life. Where people like this want to be more flow. You want more openness in your life, because you want to be able to like flow from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that a lot too. And
Yeah. Like, because the open will, I know all about that,
yep,
and
yep.
and like what you said, like it was a relief being told I have nothing to prove,
Hmm.
and like just deciding that I'm okay with that because I've been told, like given permission to stop thinking about that, and it was just like, cool, turn that one off. and then the open head and the open root of pressure at both ends
Yeah.
to do things because I'm supposed to, because someone said you should do this or you should work hard or like, and it'll kill you. It's
Yeah. Well,
um,
yeah, the adrenals will burn you out. You'll go into burnout.
mhm,
And that's usually what happens about what they say 39 or 40, which is right around the Uranus opposition. That's what I went through because
mhm,
I have the open route, but I was trying to be at work every day and do all this and do this and get there and prove this. I had to make money for my family and I'm trying to figure out what to do in my life. And I just had my first kid and all this stuff. And then I had major burnout. It hit me and I went, "Oh my gosh, where did all my optimism go? Where did all my energy go? Where did all this everything I've ever been where did I go?" I no longer had that tank anymore. And
mhm.
I feel like I'm just getting over it at 46. I've did the last couple of years I've just started to like because in the last 2 years following my strategy and authority now, I've allowed myself the time. I've now stopped doing and the biggest one was funny for my wife and I. So she has her route and she has the 4 and the 16 and all that like Richard was talking about with your wife. Um she has a route. We talk about the dishes, right? She's like, "Hey, can you do the dishes?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do them." And she'd freeze and she'd go, "Can you do them right now?" And I'd be like, "No." And there was a big it became a little part of a problem with us. And I'd be like, "I'll do them when I want to do them. I'm working on this song right now, or I'm doing this right now. I'm doing something else." And when I found out the whole thing about the route, she has her route and I don't. So she likes things on time. She has her schedule, and I'm a flow person. It changed the game. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, "Don't push me. I feel your route. Don't tell me to do something." But like, it was on myself. I find I stepped up in my own power and begin to do it when I felt I wanted to do it. In the long run, when she allowed me to do that, everything flowed because I did it, and it all ended up being to her liking, anyways.
And that's the 4 and the 16 you're talking about, right? The 4 and the 16.
The 4 and the 16 was the as Richard said to really wants things organized and timed out. But the pressure from the root to get things done in an orderly and timely fashion.
Mhm,
That whole situation of it has something to do with it too. And she has her root and I don't.
mhm.
And so she has the full channel. So like this person has the 1648. So they have the channel of excellence, if I'm right. The wavelength of
Of
the
the
channel
wavelength,
of
the
the
design of
wavelength. Yeah,
talent. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so basically, they have enthusiasm and they have depth. Now their depth is unconscious, but they
Mhm.
still have like a well of depth that they don't even know they're tapping. But they have the conscious enthusiasm, like, man, I'm excited to learn. And with that channel, you just get better over time at anything you do. So like if this person started guitar right now, in 10 years, they could be amazing.
Mm.
Anything this person does over a period of time, they will become proficient at it because they have that channel.
Well, and part of that would be the two too, right? The natural in their profile, I guess. Like
Oh
they're
yeah,
just naturally talented, right? And
yes
and
they are.
what I've noticed with twos in my life is they're like it's an aw shucks natural talent. Like, oh, it's not me, because it's in their design. They're like,
Huh?
no, I don't believe that. I don't accept that. And
Yeah,
everyone else is like me, all the twos in my life, I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, just stop. I can see it. Everybody knows it.
but that's the big thing about
Tired
the
of the game.
two.
Right? So
That's the big thing about the two. They don't see it in themselves. I
yeah.
have a good friend that's a 2-4. He's probably one of the best rappers I've ever met in my life, hands down. Anywhere, anytime, he could grab the mic next to anybody on the top 40. It don't matter. Okay, this guy can handle it. But so many times I have heard him say, "I don't even see what they see in me." He said it before he even knew it. I'm
Yeah.
like, "It's your chart, homie. You're not here to see what they see in you. You're here to do it.
Yeah.
Just be dope. Let them see it in you." Now I know why he doesn't see it. I understand his frustration with that.
Yeah.
Because he is the natural. It's just a gift to him. He's just in the house dancing. We're just watching from the outside. And then we knock on the door. "Hey man, you're a great dancer. Come dance at my party." But they're the hermit, remember? So they're like, "Whoa, whoa, I don't know. okay, I guess I'm a good dancer. I just like to dance, and then you got to hope they get to the party and remember they're just supposed to dance, and they're instead of looking around going, oh man, they're gonna watch me. But maybe the role model part of this will be like, okay, it's my time to dance. But
Um, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there for a second.
yeah,
Um, I'm just going to say this because I need to go to the washroom, but
okay,
part of it's like I'm into the metaphysical anatomy, and like when you feel or know something so deep, all of a sudden you have like this knowing.
yeah.
I get it where then I'm like, oh, I just got to go get rid of that. So quite literally, like some of the things that you're talking about are apply to me, and I'm having like this like self awareness and like or being even feeling recognized myself by you analyzing
Mm.
the chart, and I'm like, yeah, I just got to go pee. So I'm just going to do that. Probably edit that out, except I won't because I feel that it needs to be said. So I'll be back in a second. If you want to talk about the design while I'm gone, but otherwise,
Okay. Yeah, let's see. One thing I see in this chart is the 35 that's unconscious coming down towards the emotional solar plexus. So what that can do is really drive someone to want to have um, emotional experiences. They really want to. They're reaching for the emotional solar plex with that 35, and they really want to have experiences. And it's unconscious, so they might not even know it, but they basically, as I've heard it put, really want to have many experiences. I think Raw had a great video on this one, in the lines that Richard Beaumont offers on his human dot design page, and he talks about how the 35 like this can basically really want one time experiences, like one time and I'm done with it. Let's go do this today, and let's do this tomorrow, and let's do that the next day. Lots and lots of experiences, and you have to be careful. I'm talking about the 35 unconscious coming off the throat towards the solar plexus.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, it's funny that you kept going too, because I'm like, should I edit out that I went to the washroom or just naturally let it flow? And so,
Uh, I, you
so
know, I, go ahead.
that 35 is interesting. For so many reasons. I have the 36, for example.
Uh huh.
I'd be interested to know like how a 35 36 interplays. So.
Well, the 35, this 35, what I was saying, it wants emotional experiences, right? It's reaching to the emotions. It wants to have emotional experiences. So I remember Ra's great talk on the 35 like this, talking about sex basically. You know what I mean? Like the 35's like, I really want to have a redhead. I really want to have an experience with a redhead, and then they find a redhead and it's like, I want to have sex with this red because it's an emotional experience, obviously, sexuality, right? He's reaching towards that. And then he has sex with the redhead and he goes away and she goes this way and she's like, man, he never called me back, you know what I mean? I never heard from him again. And he's over here like, oh, it was a great experience. I met this redhead and I had a great time, because the 35 is really looking for those one time like relationships, those like, I'm gonna do that tonight, and tomorrow night I'm gonna have a brunette, and the next night I'm gonna climb the mountain, and the next night I'm gonna play backgammon, and the next night I'm gonna ride a motorcycle. The 35 is one of those, I want to do it. I want to do it. And he was talking about it. If you have the 35, 36, you can almost be one of those people that will like go free climbing on rocks, like mountains, and like do like a stair, like Evil Knievel style stuff. You know what I mean? You got that drive for emotional experience, and
If you have the whole channel, do you mean?
if you
Or
have the whole channel, yeah. So if you have the 36 reaching to the 35, you have emotions, and now you're looking for experiences,
Mhm.
right? In a certain way, like you've got these emotions and you want to really share them with an experience. So that's why, like, if you were to meet someone with the 35 hanging, together, you guys are almost like a dynamic duo of people of like you guys could get into a lot of trouble jumping off cliffs probably. Especially, I think your 36 is conscious, isn't it?
That's a
It's a
good.
black, it's black, I think.
I think it's black. Yeah, yeah. I'll just confirm that. But yes, I think you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that way at least you're more in touch with the fact that you have some emotions. Maybe this brings some of your emotions into play. That how you were talking about, Richard, that you have some feelings, you care, you have the sensitivity. So it's not like you have a conscious line coming off your emotional center, like
Mhm.
they do too, like in the six. So that six is going to be a strong pull for them. So like this person and I would actually make that whole channel, the channel of mating. So I have the 59 coming the other way. It's the only thing I have going towards the emotional solar plexus. I'm completely open on that side.
So
So
where's the 59? I can't
it's
remember.
right off the solar plexus. No, it's right off the sacral, and would connect to the 6.
Oh, this guy here. Right.
Yep, yep, and it makes the channel of mating.
Okay.
So my 59 um, allows me to break down people's defenses.
Hmm.
And that made so much sense to me because I have had some friends in my life in our circles that, like, I had one guy, Joey Essig, one of the best drummer, jazz drummer, award-winning drummer, amazing guitar player, but like very hard to work with, super difficult. Like, just, I mean, I don't want to call him a dickhead, but he was just a really hard dude. Okay, like really hard dude to deal with, but awesome dude, but just one of those intense humans. But when he'd come over to record with me, I could record him. He would let me record him. We could get it. I recorded his first album. And one night when we were talking, he said, "You know what, James? You say all kinds of shit sometimes. You babble your mouth, but every once in a while, I can't believe what comes out your mouth, man. You really say some deep stuff." So it was like I got through to him. I had that 59. I could break down his defense just enough to let me in. So
Hmm.
with this person has the 6, which is really the deciding factor on if you're going to mate with them or not. So if this was a female, let's say, I don't know if it is or not, but basically with that conscious 6, they've got a strong sense to say, "Nah, not you, homie. You're not getting in.
Hmm.
No, this isn't happening," because they have that conscious. So that's going to help them be more selective with who they are intimate with.
Hmm.
If it was unconscious, you might have someone who doesn't know how to say no, really, or doesn't understand why it keeps happening. If they keep meeting up with 59s, this 59 is going to break down their defenses. So if I met this person, where I'm like, oh, like it's the Casanova line is what I have. So I'm like, oh, sweet talking to her, right? Or sweet, I'm gonna get in tonight. I'm gonna score, and then she's like, nah. And I'm like, man, I thought I had the power.
Yeah.
They have the power with that conscious 6.
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
It's interesting.
Yeah. They also have half of the royalty line. They have half of the material plane line. What is it? The 45. And that's conscious as well.
So what do you mean by that? The material line, like that's a money channel, right? Or a
Yeah,
money
yeah.
gate?
It's the
Yeah.
plane of the material plane. It's one of the channels of the material plane. So is that the gatherer? Is that what I saw? The channel of the
Sorry,
gatherer, or
update my notes. Gathering together the gate of the gatherer,
yeah.
the
If,
natural and generally beneficial attraction of like forces.
so if I'm right, the 45 is in this role. The 45 is actually the king in the role, right? The king or the queen, and they've got the land. They own the land. The 21, if I'm right, that would actually be the hunter that they allow to hunt on their land, but they get the best piece of meat when they're done.
Hmm.
You can come hunt on my land, and it's the best land to hunt on. So you want to hunt on my land, but in the end, you're going to give me the big piece of meat, but you get to hunt on my land.
Hmm.
That's like the play with those two people, and but
Interesting.
that also, but in conscious right there, that means that they could have a little material success, or they're reaching for material plane success.
But do they need the 21 to bring the other half of that then,
It
or?
would definitely help.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It would definitely help. It might be more of a struggle. You might find that they don't reach that until maybe they hit a Chiron or something, and they get the 21, right.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know if it means when you only have half of that you can't get it, but it just means you're not fully activated, right? So I would imagine what I say, and I could be wrong, but what I intuit in this system is, let's say they're reaching for the 21, right? Where'd the coffee go? Okay, they're reaching for the 21. I think in this lifetime, so I'm having this theory that we earn our centers over incarnations. So like in this
Mhm.
incarnation, this is what they've earned over the incarnations they've been born in past lives. This is my own theory. No, I haven't heard this from anywhere else, and I'm not saying I made it up. This is what I'm theorizing. So these gates, let's say that 21, that 45, is reaching to that 21 to activate it for the next life. It's trying to reach that 21. So if they live their life correct, and let's say they find their flow and they activate that 45, in the next lifetime, maybe that 21's red.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? and now they have the will center in their next lifetime. And then and then maybe you activate more. I'm not 100% sure, and maybe these reds become black. There might be a process to this. The system kind of seems it has its own process. So I'm wondering if that isn't the process of how someone ends up with the full chart lit up one time in one lifetime and basically levitates.
So many things on that. So, conversation that Jonah and I have had a bunch of times about reincarnation, and like like did your soul enter this incarnation with certain things done? So, like I have completely open head and ajna.
Yeah.
My interpretation is I've done that work in a previous life, but I
Okay.
think what you're saying is maybe it's the opposite. If it's defined, you've done the work, right? Like, or like I don't know who knows or if we do,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah. What I was saying is, if it's defined, you've done the work. I would say, and then,
Yeah.
um, but not to say that maybe you have done the work, right? Let's say you've done the work and it was completely defined, all the channels lit up. What about a restart?
Hmm.
What about, okay, now let's send you back and learn a new lesson with the ajna. Let's start you over for
Hmm.
six or seven or eight more incarnations. Let's
Hmm.
get you back down there, and all of a sudden now we wipe you clean. I almost think
Hmm.
reflectors are brand new souls in some way.
Yeah. Why can't I think of his name? John. John and Amy.
John Cole.
That yeah, awesome guy. I attended their rave cartography course,
Mm,
and there was one day I was like, man, I just don't know how to do this completely open head nausea. I don't see it very often. I've had to use meditation and plant medicine and like all these things to quiet it and tame it.
yeah.
But then my brain just goes right, or I can sense what other people are thinking. It seems, and when is it mine and not? And he just said, man, your head's and audience is just completely here for your entertainment. Like it's so open that it's just here to entertain you, and that was kind of like oh geez, cool. I mean, it's hard. I forget every day, and I have to. It's kind of that morning reboot where it's like, nope, get
Uh,
back to self. Like,
yeah.
but so in my mind, it's like if it's just for my entertainment, then there's technically not more to learn. So is it defined? Isn't it like the blank slate thing? I
Mm.
think it's a very interesting conversation for sure, and we
Well,
should
maybe.
definitely do something with Jonah. Like maybe
Ah,
facilitate a conversation around that because
that'd be
that'd be
awesome.
super interesting. So
Yeah. And I wonder with the whole completely for entertainment, because when you get into meditation, when you get to the deeper levels, they say basically you become the observer, right? And
mhm,
so the idea is to observe your thoughts, not to judge them, not to criticize them, but to actually watch the movie happen. And that
yeah,
has been, I've heard that also in human design with that. So with that open head of yours, when you're meditating and thoughts are coming in, that's okay.
mhm,
It's going to happen sooner or later. What happens after you do it long enough, that will actually begin to stop,
mhm,
and those thoughts will actually stop showing up the way they do, because you'll have more control over the three centers that are in the mind, that are
mhm.
actually the three activated centers of the mind. And that's when you align them, you'll actually be able to take that light that's moving. There's always that moving fog, it seems like, your colors, and you'll be able to align them into one. And if you can do that enough, you can have some pretty mystical experiences.
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna make this about me for a second because this.
Yeah.
So here's my Chiron return, right?
Yeah.
Completely open head Ajna. And then look what happens in my Chiron, like defined and this one channel, which I've started to dig into, and it's really about like my memory is it's like really deep, really clear contemplation, and it's
Yes.
completely still separated from the rest of me. And it's taken a
Yes.
lot of work to be able to meditate, but I
Yes.
feel like I've got it to the point now where this is one of the things that happens to me a lot lately is I'll be like, oh, that's interesting that you just said that. Like I'll be
Mm,
watching myself from 2 feet behind, going, God, you're funny, man. Like, look at how you set this up, and you did it subconsciously. Isn't that
mm.
clever? And I'm like watching myself. It's really it is entertaining. I'm entertaining myself, and occasionally am in that zone, and other times I'm just a hot mess, and we can get so.
Yeah, yeah, that 61. I have the 24, and my youngest daughter Mercy has the 61. Her Pluto's in 61, so that's the mystic, right?
Mhm.
And I love that because I heard Barbara said that. She goes, "Oh yeah, my granddaughter has the 61, so now we have a little mystic in the family." And I went to my daughter, and 61 Pluto, 61 in the Pluto makes her a mystic, and I was like, "Yes!"
Yeah.
Uh, so I was so happy. Yeah, that 6124 is an amazing channel, man. That's some deep, like, inspiration, mystic. This is also maybe why Richard was talking about you getting into the ancient stuff, into the folklore, into the anthropology kind of side of it, and right, because you have a mind for the mystic and
Hmm. Oh, dude, I'm hanging with trees and seem to be having
yeah,
loads, and
yeah, the
I love
plant
it.
medicine too, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then the one thing he was uh, like I just don't like reading, or I can't focus long enough. And he's like, it's a shame you haven't been reading books this whole time, because I just have this backlog of information. Instead, I'm like playing catch up during my Chiron. So
Right, right. You're supposed to be the genius here, helping everybody.
yeah, and I'm busy
Hey,
trying to catch up. But
but the
dude,
good,
I spend 5 6 hours a night sometimes now just hanging out, bouncing around, playing catch up, like that 3 5 mg, like circling back to all this knowledge.
mhm.
And yeah, it's weird. Anyways, enough about me. Back to this one. So,
Yeah.
um, sorry, I took you on a tangent. Where would you like to go next?
I like the 731, the unconscious leadership. What do they have that in? What are the lines on that?
So design a leadership for good or bad. Mars fifth line, the general, and uh, the sun second line, arrogance.
Okay. So it's 31 2 7 5. Okay. Cool. So that's unconscious. So, they're basically like they're an unconscious alpha and they
Hmm.
don't know it. They're not really, maybe they're kind of like how we were, where they don't really realize that they kind of are the leaders. You know what I mean? Now they need to be put in that position though. This is that elected, the democratic elected leader. But they got the general line too. So that's pretty, that's pretty strong. And they're a natural in the other line, but they're here to learn something that they can't see in that line, right? Two, I love how Ra would always reiterate the two doesn't know what it's here to do. It's here to learn, but it's like it doesn't even know it's here to learn. It doesn't know why you want it to be the leader, but you can see why it should be the leader, why they need to be elected. But once they're there, and remember, over our lifetime, we get to use the red. The red comes into play. It's just
Hmm.
not at play in the first 50 years. But once we get older, you get to this person will get to be a conscious alpha. You know what I mean? Where they're like, okay, I am the alpha. I mean, how do I use that now? Now they have to learn how to be the alpha, kind of, right? But they probably learned over time. Every time they got challenged, they probably found themselves being pretty like, "Don't challenge me. I don't know why I feel so brave," But I've had to learn to be brave over the years. I never wanted to flex my alpha because probably I was more afraid of what I would do because it's like I have that inner anger, that inner rage, right, building up, and I don't want to hurt someone if I get in a fight with them. I've really never been in much of a physical confrontation because the one time I was, it was basically I'm going to kill that person because it's to win, right? What are we doing? This isn't for fun. I'm not in the MMA. Even MMA, it's to win. I would probably be the same way. It'd be like one move. I want to damage you until you can't move so I can win. I'm not here for, so that's how I feel about flexing the alpha. It's like, it's more like, I try to take the Bruce Lee approach.
Yeah.
In Bruce Lee's movies, you'd hit him once, he'd be like, oh man, calm down, let me buy you a drink. And he'd buy the guy a drink, and the guy would throw the drink in his face. And he'd be like, oh, come on, man, we're just trying to get along here, buddy.
Hmm.
And then the guy would rip his shirt, and then he'd cut him, and he'd see the blood, right? The third time, he gave him three chances.
Yeah.
And the third time he'd look at the blood and go, "Okay, time to beat you up," And so I've always tried to use that rule in life, like I don't care if you step on my foot, it's all cool. I can get a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I don't care if you knock if you make fun of me. It's just words don't hurt. The next step is like, hey man, you might need to leave.
So, okay, there's so many things to say that because I have the 731 as well. So I
Yeah.
had
So,
two examples that popped in the head, and maybe I'll share them because it's exactly like he described it. But then the other thing that is like, I'll give someone chances to hurt me
hmm
until it's time to stop, but I won't let them hurt my tribe. Like
oh
they
yeah,
get
hundred
they have
percent.
one chance, right? Like that's it.
Step
And
right
so I
in.
don't know if that's is that the 731
Yeah.
or is that coming from somewhere else?
Well, I don't know. You have the 3420, so there's your martial art, there's your power, right? And
Yeah.
so they do too. They have the 34 to the 57, they have the 34 to the 10. So they
Hmm.
know how to behave and they have power. And they have the alpha channel. So it could come from either of those places. Now, I too would step in immediately when it's not me. I'll do that. But I don't have any of that. I have the 10 though. so I know how to behave in public. So maybe that's what it is. It's part of
Hmm.
that 10 channel. And now you guys, this person and yourself, have the power to say, hey, buddy, you got one more chance, and then I'm going to exert my power on you. You know what I mean? And so that channel of power is huge for people right there. And so to have the 3420, to have the 34, you see that 34 can tell them real quick, hey, back off. That
Yeah.
3410 will probably just handle it without any words, right?
Yeah.
The other chart would probably, if they do know martial arts, will probably come in with a sweep, boom, boom, put them in a chokehold before they even say anything. Like, and the person will be like, "What happened to me?" It's like, well, you were doing something wrong, and my 10 knew you were doing it wrong, and so I exercised my alpha power to put you in a position, subdue you, so you don't hurt anybody.
Super interesting. Okay, so I'm going to tell two short stories because it literally is exactly everything you're talking about. So, and they've come up through my life. Like a memory pops in my head, and I wonder if sometimes it's like if I see that memory, it's like, ooh, that spleen is kicking in, going like, warning, warning, feels familiar, right? So one
Yeah.
was I was like 10, and we were having a snowball fight outside, and my best friend at the time probably had a foot of height on me. Like he was a
Mm,
big guy. We had a snowball fight, and he'd been pushing my buttons for a while. And I just remember that at some point I chucked a snowball or something. He didn't like it. He came up and started shoving me, and I was like, hey, hey, hey. And then he punched me in the face, and
mm.
I was bleeding out of the side of my lip, right? But I remember the moment very clearly. I wiped, I saw blood, I stared at him, and he fucking ran, and I never heard from him
Ah,
again. So, like, I
yep.
think it was like literally whatever my eyes were shooting, he was like, "Uh oh, crossed the line," and I
Oh,
never heard from that guy again. And he was my best friend for like 3 years,
oh
and that was it.
wow.
Like, it was like, that's enough. The other time it happened, I was working in a freezer warehouse, so minus 30 degrees was a brutal job, but paid well in the late 80s, 89. And I was just a kid. I was like 17, working in this freezer warehouse, saving money for a trip I was going to do, working with men, right? Like these guys that were this was their job every night.
Yeah.
And I'd been working there for 6 months with these guys, had a decent rapport, but definitely an age gap and stuff. And then this university student came along, like who's going to just work for the summer, like 3 months. And he was
Mhm.
bigger than me, and for whatever reason, I think he was trying to show how tough he was. And because I was smaller and actually younger, he was like bullying me, right? And I was just
Mhm.
going along with it. And then, but I could just tell it was escalating. One night, I'm out doing my job. I'm packing boxes onto this cart, right, like as you do in a warehouse. And all the guys that I'm working with start approaching me from different directions, like
Oh.
they're coming to see a scene, right? And I'm like, what's going on? And then the next thing I know, this guy has jumped on my back, and it starts like he wants to fight. He had been like taunting, he wanted to fight, and I was like, no, 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 let's just like making jokes. But all I know is I feel like I blacked out. My memory is I had got him over my shoulder, got him in a headlock, and started banging his head into a steel pole.
Oh.
And then he didn't work there anymore, and
No, no,
everyone
he
left me
didn't.
alone, right?
Ah!
And I've actually gone back into that memory, even with plant medicine. Like, did I remember it correctly? But I think I literally blacked out and was like, "Fuck this," and maybe I would have killed him. Like, I did. I just actually like black out. So, oh hey, who's that?
This is Mercy.
Hi,
She's my
Mercy.
4-1 generator. This is my 4-1.
Hey, awesome. Hi, Mercy.
Say
That's a
hi,
great
Mercy.
name.
You want to say hi to Sean? Oh, you act shy, my little fairy.
Aw, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Well, I'll stop
Well, but
swearing then.
man,
Let me hear.
no,
Oh,
wait.
she's great, right?
Yeah, I have the headphones on. So,
Okay.
man, that was a heck of a story, man. So, I mean, but there you go, right? It's like you got this power in you that can be unleashed, and that's what your friend saw that ran away. He said he's probably like a projector or something, had no sacral energy, and you probably said, "Whoom," and he said, "Oh, he's gonna beat me up." He was
Yeah,
scared
like
of you so much, you never saw him again.
yeah, no, that was it. That was it. And at the time, I was wounded because I lost a friend. Like, what
Ah,
happened?
right, right,
But
right.
like, he just pushed me so much, and that has been a trend where I guess I let people take advantage of me. And then when the wall comes up, it's like that's it. Like, we're done. I think I'm just setting a boundary, but it's way too late for boundary. Like, it was already like the relationship's
Yeah,
over. So
yeah. One more thing about this, so I can say one more thing is they've got the 12. It's unconscious, but that's half the music channel. As I said, is the best music channel. It's the channel of the breath, right? The gate of caution. It's the channel of breath. It has the. It's all about your breath. It's like Ross said when the evolution of breath happened, that's the gate that opened
Hmm.
when we began to breathe through our nose and our mouth in different times or something like that. He was breaking it down. So this person could be pretty good at music. You know, I mean, it's reaching towards the ear. Plus, they got the 57, so this could be a pretty good musician, I would say too. Plus, with some power. Plus, they'd get better as they did it. They've got the 61 unconscious, so there's your mystic as well. They're going to have some fun things to talk about. They've got the 3 down here as well, which is going to give you a pulse of energy. You know, so nice. Oh no. Yeah,
um,
man. So
okay, well,
are you gonna unveil who this is?
I think I better because we're at 50 minutes in and there's lots to
Okay.
talk about. So
Okay.
let me just type it in here. Oh wait, how do I do that? I do that. Oh.
Show Mama. She might be able to paint a little more on for you.
No thanks. I can do it.
You just taking it off?
For the day.
Remember we
Sorry,
got the hip.
ready? Are you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
You've been analyzing my wife,
Ah.
and I've been.
I just
And
pull it off.
you know what's funny is a couple days ago I knew I wanted to do this, and so
Yeah.
I
I
asked
just
her
pull it
permission.
off with my fingernail.
I asked her permission, and she was fine with it. And then I've just been trying not to give you clues, right? Like, because we
Oh, I
still
got no clues.
right?
I didn't even think about it. I should have thought about it when I saw the Vancouver. I should have said. I just figured you maybe. I mean, I figured you knew them or something.
Yeah, well, and I've been trying not to give clues when you say I can't tell if it's a guy or a lady.
Yeah,
And for
yeah.
a musician, it's like she played trombone in high school, but I wouldn't say she considers herself a musician per se, right? But she's very talented and has got the
Okay.
aw shucks talent thing and
Yeah.
all that stuff, right?
Well,
So
she can get better and better, man. She can be good at anything she wants to do, and she's got that power. She's got the ear. Yeah, if she's got the left ear, right ear with the 57, I think that's how it goes, and then that's the
I think it's the
left.
right ear. My experiences have been right ear, but she has said that her left ear rings more than her right.
Well, that's because that 12 is reaching to the 22, which is the other ear.
Oh, okay. So 12 is the other ear. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, the 12, 22. The 22 is the other ear. Yeah. So you guys both don't have any gates to your willpower.
No.
Wow. So like my wife and I, so when we put our charts together, we're completely the only thing that's open is the willpower. So we know that we're here to learn our value. Her also needs to learn her self-worth, and me too. We are both that way. So we think it's so cool that we're figuring it out together. So you two have the same thing. You're here to both learn your self-worth together. You're here to help each other learn each other's self-worth,
Yep.
which is beautiful. You know, and then you get the open head and you get the inspiration and the fun, and you can basically read each other's thoughts basically with the wide open heads if you really were good at it.
Some of the things you've said where I'm thinking them like, am I thinking that or is that her? Like I'm like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
checking in on that. So there's a lot
yeah.
of that. Okay, so here's my notes. So I just want to start from the beginning that
Sure.
I've actually had some people comment on the meat sacks to date, and it's always been guys and musicians, and someone pointed that out, and I was like, oh yeah, right, there is a trend. I mean, there was the very first one we did was the prime minister, so not a politician, but it's always been men. So I was like, okay, I have a woman this time, and in
Yeah,
this case, and technically not a musician as far as like by trade,
sure, sure.
but naturally like with art, like everything she touches is amazing, right? And everyone's like, oh, you should get more of this. It's like, oh no, it's
That's
just
a
garbage,
16.
right?
That's a 1648. That's her 1648.
Yeah. Where's the 1648? That's
It's
oh right
it's
here,
the
yeah,
far left. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll tick that one off. I wrote down 30, 50. Slow down. Do I really want this? Why did I write that down? What were you saying about the 30 and 50? Oh no, sorry. Being aged 30 to 50. So
Yes.
the 6-2, she had, like a lot of us had a challenging upbringing and learned a lot of things. And then we got married and we moved to Bermuda, and then we came back, we had kids. And definitely there was almost like a disassociation where I was kind of like in the thick and in the weeds, learning all the lessons. And she, moved to a parental mothering role, and like she took care of the home, I took care of the work, and now we're coming back together and clashing a bit because the kids are 19 and 21, and so it's very interesting, right? So when I was asking about age 55 is like our conversations a lot of times are like she's still up on the roof, and I'd like literally say to her, and of course she's only hearing so much about human design because I'm talking about it all the time, and she wants to find her own way, so I'm like annoying her. But I'm like, would you just get off the roof and join me here? Like we need to get this shit on the go. And she's like, oh no, And I'm just like, dude, get
Well,
off the fucking roof.
what's
So,
her Chiron? What's her Chiron? Does she stay a 6-2 in the Chiron?
well, that's a good question. I don't know. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong tool. Wendy. And again, for anyone watching, like, I have permission to do this from her. So, why does it keep asking? Well, mine, Wendy, Chiron. Also, and this is, I understood that Ra called Chiron with a K, but
Yeah.
yet with this tool it's with a C. So I never know what's right or
Yeah.
wrong. What did you want to know about her Chiron?
What does her profile switch to?
So she's still an MG. Oh, she's a pure MG. So she's got 3420, which she didn't have before. She's a 4-6, still
4-6.
still single definition, whereas I'm a triple.
Wow.
And she's right angle cross of the Sphinx too, which
Woo!
is my incarnation cross, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's weird. So she's becoming me?
Well,
In a
maybe
way?
she learned. Did she have her G originally? Yeah, she does have her G
Yeah.
originally, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have the same open centers.
Okay.
And
That's cool.
I didn't pick up that she has the same incarnation. So, and isn't that strange? Like, isn't our incarnation cross kind of like your purpose or your destiny?
Yeah. It's your
So
job.
why would your destiny change at 50? But maybe, yeah.
Well, you thought you knew what you were doing, basically.
Exactly, right? At 50, like, to me, Chiron return is the midlife crisis. Some guys will go get a pickup truck and they're like, women will get a boob job, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, your Chiron is like, if you want to live longer and have a fulfilled second half of your life, figure this shit out, or the body starts going, well, it's time to start adding all the diseases, and we'll just start shutting down your programming by slowly killing, right? Like, that's to me Chiron feels like. So
So it sounds like when she goes through her Chiron, which she's in right now, basically, she becomes the networker, and you're the unconscious networker. She's the conscious networker. It's almost like she kind of moves out into the front to go out into the society and maybe network for your businesses more, while you stay hermited. Well, you can network. You do it more on the internal, and you have you stay the natural progressing, while she might, now that she's kind of like, her role model's unconscious, but she earned it through her 50 years.
Yeah.
And now she gets to go be the networker, where maybe she's been behind the scenes. It's time for her to step out in front of the scenes and allow you to go back behind the scenes. You switch roles a little bit.
That's so funny, because that we talk about that, and she is so resistant to that. Like, in her mind, I'm the networker, I'm the carnival barker. She just wants to be left alone. Whereas I'm in my Chiron hermiting more, and I can feel it. Like, I need to go recharge.
Yeah.
But she's not feeling or sensing that yet. But
well, that's because she has an unconscious alpha. She's not accepting her unconscious leadership.
She's not accepting. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. She's and part of it's being recognized for it, right? Which she's going to watch this, because that was the deal. And so Wendy, like, this dude is saying,
Wendy.
Hey.
I like your chart. I like your chart. You have a nice chart.
You have a nice chart. So yeah, 50-55 role model, the flowering, right? And like, I wonder if she senses it in herself, but is resistant because it's me saying it to her. So at least now someone who hasn't met her literally just looked at her mechanics and said, hey, dude, pay attention, right? So that's interesting. The unconscious alpha. So she's got the 731 unconscious. I've got it. Mine's conscious, right? Mine's conscious.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time lately, where we'll be in a room and we're bantering. Like, we're just like jabbing and dishing, and almost kind of like a rap battle, like between us getting our thoughts across. And other people will be like, whew, is it getting hot in here? like people will think, like, we think it's funny and banter, and other people like really uncomfortable.
You two are like two black belts. You are two black belts.
Yeah.
Like, you two in a room are like having two black belts in a room, just spar and just like, hey, let's see what you got. Let's practice today. Okay. Bap, 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 bap. Oh, you're getting pretty good there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. And that's awesome. You guys got super power together. You're a power couple.
Yeah, but we would both say that we haven't got it figured out, right? And it's frustrating. And so
Yeah.
knowing this and seeing this is like, what are we
Well,
doing wrong, and
you
why
need to
are we?
find you need your team. You guys are the leaders.
Yeah,
You got to build your team. You need to find 4, 5, 6 people, a projector, a couple projectors, and about 4 generators. You know?
and not a lot of generators are in my fractal, right? Like it's a lot of manifesting generators, which
Okay.
are those like us, entrepreneurial kind of spirit, multi-passionate, and so
More
then it's
bosses, and you don't
mayhem,
need more
right?
bosses. You
Yeah.
guys don't need more bosses. You need workers. So here's what I get from your reading with Richard is he said you're the man about town. So it sounds like from what I told you earlier about doing your inner work and attracting your higher karmic fractal, your dharmic fractal, right? And these are the people who can do the work for you. Ready? It sounds like there's some hobbies out there, be it working out, be it a meditation class. Like I know you have your own wellness place, so maybe that's where you go. But the idea would be like to go to places that will benefit your inner work. Maybe it's the park. Maybe go read a book at the park, but be out about town so you could bump into people because that's where Richard said your money would come from too, the 14, right? And that stuff. So go out, get out into the network, bump into people, but make sure what you're doing is working on your inner self. You just somehow, and then you will attract people who want to help you, who are here, who have been incarnated literally to help you work on your inner self.
Hmm.
So I think that's how you attract them. That's what I see as a projector. When I've been hearing, talking to you last couple of times, and watching the Richard thing, getting a really good, more foundation on you,
Hmm.
getting I see that, man. It's like do what Richard said. Get out about town. Go bump into people. Go network. Go do that. Let them recognize you. If it's from your mohawk or it's just something you see them do and you respond to. But you're going to meet people, and you're going to meet these projectors. You're going to meet these generators, and they're going to be the people you need to bring into your life to help your businesses go.
Yeah. Okay, so many things there. One, recently we've been actually making sure that so our connection theme is better to be free, right? So the first time I read that and saw it, it was with Kendra Curran. So another, like, she's amazing, and we got talking about the theme, and I like hearing better to be free. I was like, oh shit, that means we're going to separate, and that's not what it means at all. It's
No.
just we need to break the bond and recreate it, and things need to be exciting, and that's like
Yeah.
536 when you're talking about that too, and like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's all
yeah.
this going on. And
Oh wow! Oh wow! This is your wife and you.
right?
Oh, now I see that you had the 36. You had the
Oh
36.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Right. So where's it go? Oh, so I heard this phrase not like about a year ago, and I started testing it with us, and it's like this seems more like a you thing than an us thing. And
Yeah,
so
I
we're
like that. I like that too. I heard
right,
that.
and
Yeah.
so we're getting to the point where we can vacation separately, like, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's been valuable because then, like, I went to Toronto and was networking with all kinds of people that
Yep.
led to things. But if we just do everything together,
Yep.
nothing's fresh as far as what's brought into our fractal and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So super,
Yeah, she needs to
super.
go do her own thing too. She needs to have her own time to go on her own stuff because you are both those networkers, especially her becoming the 4-6 now. It's like you guys are both going to bring in your own circles, and your circles are going to merge together like with the Venn diagram, right, or something. And you'll have the Vesica Pisces in the middle, which will be the money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's all there, man. It's really cool. It's really cool to see
My
it like that.
projector dog was just having a nightmare next to me. I don't know if you could hear her, but she was like
Yeah,
whining. And
yeah.
our projector dog gets between us when we have conversations, and she will literally
Ah,
stand in front of us so we can't see each other, like
yep.
when we're both like sitting on a couch. And I'm like, what are you trying to do here, Scout? Like, are we not supposed to talk about this, or is it that that's a sign that like this conversation is important, pay attention? But why would she put herself between us? And it's happened
I'm
enough times. There's something there. So
I would listen to your projector for sure. So I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm gonna leave you with this one. Ready? I had a vision watching the Richard thing. Now I don't know. This could be far off, and you already have a whole bunch of businesses. But I saw this for you: some kind of music school, some kind of music business where like you have a spot where people can come. I would say a children's music school where like you could have drums set up and instruments, and you could parents would pay to have their kids come in and just jam, and they could make little kid bands, and you could get to play drums, and you could make money getting to play drums that way.
Well, I do want to make money playing drums because that's what I'd rather be doing. The
Yes.
drums are set up at Funky Town. We've talked about, like, do we take them out of there or leave them there as part of, like, the sense. I personally don't want to teach drums because
No,
I'm
maybe you wouldn't teach it. Maybe you would bring teachers in, right? There are people who want to teach, like people who they just need a space. Like you would have the space. You're like you're the overall boss, right? You
yeah
love music, and here's another job too. I'm not trying to get you to start another job. If you just don't respond to this, I totally understand.
yeah
But it's like I just thought about music in you and getting you in the music more.
yeah
Maybe but like finding a spot where you could basically have guitar teachers and a drum teacher and maybe a piano teacher and to allow people to basically kind of like rent the space from you to teach people, and you could be helping the music scene in that area grow and nurturing young kids into music. And Deepak Chopra once said, if you want to do something, help other people do it. So if
mhm,
you want to play drums, help other people play drums. If you want to play music, help other people play music, right? And you have that being a manifesting generator. And I just thought teaching kids, and I'm not, again, not yourself, May, but maybe you hire a drum teacher who comes in to teach, and maybe they're so good a drum teacher that you learn some stuff from them too. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? They become a good friend. And hey, I got a gig over here I can't fill. You want to come fill in on this gig for me? And all of a sudden you're doing some drumming gigs. You know what I mean? It's just a thought. It just hit me of like, man, drop some of those other planes and let's get you into some music business.
oh for sure. Well,
Just a
you and
thought.
I need to talk about music a bunch after this too. So
Yeah.
okay, just thinking about time. I think what I'll do is
Yep.
there's like 5 other points I bulleted
Okay.
here, and
Go
then
for it.
we'll wrap this one up. And if we've got time, we should keep talking. Okay, so you're talking about the sacral evolution shaping the world. So we both have that defined sacral. I thought that was an interesting statement, but I've now forgotten some of the context. But we both have like yeah, I don't know what. Maybe that I'll just leave that unless you have something to say about that. But we both
Well,
have that
what
defined sacral.
what I meant by that is my whole life I've wanted to change the world and help make it a better place. I've
Hmm
been out there with my music and just saying this is what I'm here to do. Is what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm
hmm
here to help it be done. Is what I found out. So
Yeah.
I've accepted that now that I'm not the one who's going to be out there going, I'm changing the world. That's not what it is. I'm here to help people like you who
hmm
can change the world and your wife. So now when I see that, I go, oh, you're the chosen one. I'm here to help guide the chosen ones. You've been given the energy to actually affect people around you. They need your energy. They need to hire you. They want you to work for them. If it's not your business, they want you to come work for them. It's like that's what I see when I see sacral energy.
Well, and it is that sacral, right? And being a projector, like you,
Yes.
and so, and I think we've talked about this before. Like, it's projectors won't like the term energy vampire, but that's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
what goes on, right? And
You have to
so,
be careful. You have to be careful not to. That's for sure.
yeah, and so that's interesting. Our sacral, and sacral is every generator, manifesting generator has a sacral. It's just whether it's their authority or not, right? I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's super interesting. Okay, well we'll leave that one. The 4 and 16.
Hmm.
I wrote down, can you do it right now? Why did that meant something to me at the
Well,
time,
it came from the reading with Richard, and
right?
it came from the you were talking about how like you don't like to plan things and you do, but your wife wants to plan things, and you guys are basically opposites in that way. And he goes, well, does she have the 4? And you're like, she does. He goes, okay, does she have the 30? He was asking she had the 30 or 40, which she doesn't.
Mhm.
But he goes, does she have the 16? And
Mhm.
you're like, she goes, oh, that's it, mate. That's it. That's it, mate. You know what I mean? Oh, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's so funny because right when that was happening, I got on here. I was like, "What's my wife have? Oh, she's got the 4, and she's got the 16, and she has the 31, not the 7, but she has her root." So it's like I felt in a very similar position where like my wife like things structured, and she wants to know what time, and she wants to be on time, like this, and where I'm like, even though I like to be on time, I leave a lot earlier. I leave an hour early to get there.
Yeah,
I don't. If we're going to a restaurant and they close in 30 minutes, I don't go. I know
right.
I could get in. I know I could get in. I used to work at restaurants. I know they'll let me in and they'll have to wait for me to leave. But if it's an hour, if they close within an hour of us getting there, I'm not going. I'll go somewhere else. It's just going to be open longer.
So all that. So because together, when our connection, we then have the defined root.
Uh huh.
So is that so? Because this is a very common theme, I would say, which is I'll be in flow and she'll come up and she'll have something that she needs to get off her plate. And so
Yep.
and when she knows this, like she'll just like stand there until I stop what I'm doing so that she can get something off her plate. And meanwhile, I'll be like, really? That's the most important thing right now? Like I'm right in the middle of doing the last thing you asked me to do.
Mm,
And it's like she's got to, and so because she doesn't have any systems for managing her tasks, whereas I like have to, or I'll just like when I put things down, it's not multitasking, it's task switching, and I've learned
yeah.
that valuable. So I'm trying to work with her on that, like being, dude, like it's important to me that you want this done, but if you want me to do that, I have to put this down, and I don't know when I'm going to pick this back up again. And so it ends up being this like conflict, right? But that's
Yeah.
the thing that's coming from here. That's all her, and then here, but
Well, hit this light up this channel for me. I can't see what numbers it is. It's the top one on the left from the root to the spleen.
from the root to the spleen. Oh, okay, yeah.
What is that channel? The channel of
Channel
transformation.
design of being driven.
So, okay, so what it looks like to me is together, when you guys come together, you're here to learn and help each other transform, right? You're in a state of transformation. You guys are each other's partners. Like where my wife and I are each other's projectors, you're each other's manifesting generators. You know,
Hmm.
like you're here to help her have time to figure out herself, and she's here to let you have the time to figure out yourself. And together, you guys help each other become more on the clock. More, you have together. You have the energy. If you do something together, you have the energy to um, do it by let's say on time.
Hmm.
You have the energy. Your adrenals have energy and it's pushing there. So you guys are learning together, but it takes you both together to be on the same page. If you're
Hmm.
not, then that's where you could probably have, because you both don't have your root. So neither of you really like to be pushed.
No, we don't.
So yeah, don't tell me what to do and I won't tell you what to do kind of talks. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, so it's like but if you guys are on the same page, you guys are each other's best friends.
yeah, and the thing is, when we come together, it's like amazing, and other times it's like, get the fuck away from me. Like we're both
Yeah,
like,
man.
oh,
You're just two black belts. I mean, you can't have two. There can't be two champions.
that's right.
There's a first and second place. It is what it is.
Yeah, and when that alpha kicks in, the kids will be like, "Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we're fine." Right? So, and you will, because you watched my Richard Beaumont reading.
Yep.
I think I said this in this meeting because whatever he said made me think of it. But it was the John Lennon and Paul McCartney lyric, and I seem to recall tying it to this channel, and I think he agreed, and maybe I got it wrong, but like it's getting better all the time,
Yeah.
couldn't get much worse. Like
Yeah.
you talk about, like I feel like I'm this the glass half full, she's glass half empty,
Oh, that's
and
funny.
that lyric is like, my understanding is those lyrics Paul McCartney wrote that it's getting better all the time, but
Yeah.
John Lennon,
Yeah.
cynic, is like it couldn't get much worse.
Well, well,
That's at the time it felt like this channel. Do you agree with that, or am I remembering that wrong?
I remember the talk. I don't remember the channel. But the one thing about Lennon McCartney is, so the 4816, right, right,
Hmm.
right by it. Lennon had the 48 and McCartney had the 16.
Oh, okay.
And what I've seen that so I have the 48 and my music partner Miles has the 16,
Hmm.
where John Lennon was more of the peace fighting, depth, and that's kind of where I come from, the underground, like just more into that deep, serious depth. Not that Miles isn't deep; he's very deep, but he has that boyish enthusiasm of the 16, where McCartney was kind of like the fluffy, melody, where Lennon was more rough around the edges, rebellious, right? So I
Hmm.
see that that's the 1648 for sure, which also you could say 48 saying it couldn't get any worse and 16's going it's getting better all the time. So I see that, but I don't know if he was talking about the other line. But
Okay. Fascinating. The other thing I'll
yeah.
say just right now, because I want to make sure, I don't know if I've ever said it on one of these things, but like a big reason why I want to do this is I'm learning. In this case, Wendy's going to learn, and it'll be an interesting conversation later. And I have a friend was like, you should have her watch it and do like a reaction video, like where she's reacting real
Ooh.
time. So we'll see if she goes for that. But the other thing is, I want people to see you reading this, and then they'll be
Mm.
like, oh man, this is the guy I want to talk to, because you do readings, right? You charge for
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So to me, it's like a preview of just like, this is what this experience will be like. So anyone that's watching, like, this is the purpose. Is
Yeah. Yeah. I
this
appreciate
guy's a,
that.
this guy's a great dude, and like, there'll be certain people I get asked all the time, like who should I have a reading with, and because I've had like 8 of them, I
Yeah.
don't think it's up for me to decide. It's still up for them to decide based on the
Yeah.
feeling they get by watching you.
Yeah. They have to respond. They have to be called to it. Like, hey, I like the way this person feels to me. I'm gonna hit them up. That's what that was with me with Barbara Ditlow and different people. There's obviously a lot of people I could get readings from. I've watched a lot of people, and not to take anything away from them. It's just they didn't call me. It wasn't a call to me. I was like, I like them. I like them. Okay, and I check their prices, and I go, okay, maybe and I
Yeah.
watch a couple things, and I keep and I'm just more picky because me like I want people who actually knew Raw, which means these people are going to be older. They're going to be in
Yeah.
their 70s. You know what I mean? I'm like, and not that I wouldn't take like I have been trying to pay Jonah Dempsey for a reading for 3 months.
Really?
He will not take my money. I'm like, and it's so funny because I don't know if you saw that little blurb he put up about like after he posted about his class and he got a lot of flack about the price.
Hmm.
And he said that people usually think that he has a trust fund or he's well off. Did you see that? He wrote that in there. Well, the funniest thing was, I go, this guy must have a trust fund. That's what I kept saying because he won't take my money, so he must have money. He don't need it.
Yeah. When he kind of did a reading for me recently, right? He was talking about the colors and lines and stuff, and that was about me. And because he did it for me privately, and then he
Okay.
said, could I share it? And I was like, actually, I hope you would, because I'd like to see what other people say about his observation of me. So like he did
Okay.
one recently, and that was me.
Yeah.
And then and I said, like, can I pay you for it? And he said, yeah, but he was kind of humming and hawing about it. And I was like, well, I've got a bottle of scotch. I'll bring it to you in Santa
Oh,
Fe. I
nice.
want to sell it for $250. So it's an energy exchange, a barter. Like there's a
Perfect.
bottle, bottle number 3 is his. I don't know if you've seen the bottle. So
No.
that's the whole thing. But like, if you ever watched Arrested Development, um, our this wellness center that we created is called Funky Town, but it's FU with the double umlaut or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
Funke Town, which is Tobias Funke from Arrested Development.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
he was this psychiatrist kind of guy that wanted to be an actor, and he always did it in double quotes, like I'm going to be an actor, and so good. But every
Yeah.
time he would change careers, he would get a new license plate for his car, and
Nice.
so he wanted to have a new start as his license plate. Well, it's too many letters, so he put ANUS tart, so anus tart. So this bottle of scotch that I got made, I had the labels because it was a decision from 3 years ago, and I was like, oh shit, here it's matured. So there's now 41 bottles of anus tart with
Nice.
of this scotch, right? So Jonah's going to get his bottle in September when.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, yeah. So I was because I was really getting into variable, and I wanted Jonah to I wanted to know about base and variable, and I wanted Jonah to give me a reading on it. And like I'm like, how much do you charge, man? I'll pay you. And he's like, oh, just send me your chart, and I'll try to get to it. What are you really looking for? And then he sent me a lot of stuff from Raw so I could read on myself, And I'm still sitting here going, how do I get this guy to give me a dang reading?
I suspect Jonah will watch this. I know I'll
Yeah,
text him afterwards to say we had a good time, and so he will watch it. So Jonah, your name's come up a bunch of times as it should.
yeah.
But yeah, so James wants a reading, dude. So I
I
think
see Jonah as the new one of the new champions of human design.
for
I
sure.
think he really is, man. I recognize him very strongly as one of the brightest stars in human design, come coming along in the most beautiful time
Hmm.
that has so much to help this community and share. And I think over the next 10, 15 years, Jonah's going to get his due.
Yeah, he's a genuinely nice guy. I hung with him like 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago in Seattle, and it was awesome. So,
yeah. It
Jonah,
seems like it.
no, we're not blowing smoke up your ass, buddy. We just
We're
want to.
not. Look, at man. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it, man. I don't have to say it. I want to say it.
Okay, I got 4 more lines. So 35, 36, we talked about a bit already, but that's so we talk about it in context of you knowing Wendy was my wife at that point? Because I was alluding to
No,
the fact I had
yeah,
the 36. I was trying to get it out of you without saying like, hey,
yeah.
this.
No, I think it's really cool that she's your wife, and I think that you guys, like I said, a dynamic duo. You guys could do some wild things together.
Yeah, and I was always dragging her on experiences, which I think is part of what this is. Like we moved to Bermuda in 1998 because I needed to get out of Victoria. There was no music scene here, and I was just like, I'm going crazy. So if I can't have music, at least I have to have good weather and a beach. So get me the hell out of here, right? So we're
Yeah,
back, and it's been fine. I struggle with the weather here for 4 months of the year, and so I basically said like, hey, January through April, I'm going somewhere warm. You can come with me or not. Like that's a me thing versus an us thing, and
sure.
we've kind of been like, oh yeah, we'll just find some gigs and she'll choose which ones to come on. And it's funny, like we can go, I love you. I got to get out of here because I need warmth. You can
Yeah,
come with me or not. And we can have that conversation instead of it being like, I'm your wife, I vacation with you. It's like we've got so much like connection and depth now after all these years that we're actually able to do that and discuss that, right? So,
Yeah, that's good. That's
um,
good.
but like I had to drag her to Bermuda, and the day, and I always tease her about this, the day we got to Bermuda, like we're literally pulled up into our condo, and we're unloading 2 taxis full of Rubbermaid containers and moving our life to Victoria or to Bermuda. And then within an hour, she's like, "So when we move back to Victoria, I want to change the bedroom." And I was like, "Dude, we just moved here, right?" So
Yeah.
the deal was we were going to go there for 18 months. We lasted 5 years, and I had to drag her out of Bermuda. Like I was like, I want to go somewhere else, and so it was weird. Like I had to drag her into the experience, and then she
Mm.
loved it. And then I had to drag her out of that
Well, see,
experience.
well, look
Drag
at
her in.
that. She didn't. Yeah, you know what? It just seems like she's not into human design. I'm a plane
Yep.
craft over, and so she's not into it per se. So therefore, you see a lot of not self. You see a lot of not self actions, which is fine because why would she know any different? And she is who she's made herself to be up to this moment, which is nothing wrong. She's
Hmm.
exactly where she needs to be because the unfolding is happening with or without our knowing, right? Whether
Yep.
you know you're in human design or not, it's happening to you. You're in your Chiron, whether you know it or not, right? So she's good. She has you around because you're the one who's going to get her to do what she actually wants to do, which is have experiences.
Yeah. Well, and she's going to see this, and we've talked about this, but she's coming around to it, but she need to come around to it from her own knowing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
My wife too. Same thing.
I was a little bit sneaky and strategic. Like we had some plant medicine a couple weeks ago, and I convinced her to watch some of Leanne Wolf's reading of me. And I
Mm.
think I've shared it with you. I don't know if you've seen it, but we were talking about sacral response. And as she's watching this reading about me and the parts that aligned, she was doing the and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"There's that sacral. Like you can't deny that that's not happening, right?"
Right, right.
And so she was like, all of a sudden, like I always describe it like she comes up, pops up out of the grass like a baby deer, and then I'm
Uh,
just like, just stand still, just get her with like the dart, right? Just so I don't know, maybe this will resonate, maybe not. I think it will, and I'm hopeful because I think it's valuable information.
sure.
But I got to make sure I'm not shoving it onto her.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
and then the sixth, the mating thing was interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't have any of that. Even in my Chiron, I don't bring any of that. But that was an interesting, like, just dialogue there too. Like,
yeah. She just has the power. She has the power to say yes or no. I mean, obviously, she always does. She always did. I'm sure you're not a taker. You know what I mean?
no.
Like she's just she's the gatekeeper. You know what I mean? So
Well, yeah, there's some truth there. So,
yeah,
and then 45, King Queen got the land.
yeah.
I have the 45 in my Chiron. I was checking that while we were talking about it.
Okay.
So she has that. Neither of us have the 21
No.
in Chiron. So 21, you said this is kind of like the money
So you guys are
channel, right?
both of you are looking for a hunter. You're looking for someone with the 21 that wants to come hunt on your land, who wants to come work in your. So your generator and your projectors, those two people, those 4 or 5, 6 people you need to come work for you, one of them is going to have that 21, and they're going to like connect to you, and they're going to be like, hey, can I come work for you? I see this job you have, this business. I think I could help. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. And who knows? I'd be on the lookout for a 21 along with the 14.
Someone with a defined
Uh,
will, or they
that
don't
would
even need it defined.
you guys will define it together. So once they have the 21, if they don't have it defined, when they can work with you, they're going to feel like they can do anything.
Right. So we could all have an open ego, but if they
Yep.
bring 21, we define the ego together.
All of you will have an ego, and you guys will be able to work together really well.
Wow, that's interesting.
So
Cool. Okay.
just to let you know, my computer's got a few percent left to live,
Okay.
but I think we're doing good on time. And I think if you got anything else,
Just one more gate. So gate
okay.
12, the breath thing, because Leanne, we talked about Wendy's tried a bit too, and she talked about the like both of us breath work would be really valuable, but she said especially
Yes,
for Wendy, and Wendy is mountains as
yes.
well. So her
Uh
environment
huh.
type is mountains, and I've got a buddy. I won't say his name, and he's just getting new to this, but he lives in a place where there's no mountains, but loves to smoke. And one thing I've gathered from sort of mountains environment is you need less oxygen, so it's smoking.
Let's.
But he also loves scuba diving. Like he's like
Well,
I just have an unearthed like a world like almost like a psychedelic experience when he scuba dives. And I guess it's that lack of oxygen, like the
right.
fish becomes super vibrant to him, right? And so with my wife, like she's mountains as well,
So
and
pranayama. If she did pranayamas, It would really give to that light air. Even though it's a lot of air, what it is actually oxygenating your blood and things. So she'd have a very similar experience to scuba diving or being high altitude by doing a lot of pranayamas.
So can you? I hear all these yoga terms and stuff and breathwork terms, but what is a pranayama?
Pranayama are basically breath techniques to accelerate your blood and oxygenate your blood and to cleanse your body of things. There, it would be like a kalabate breathing, which is from the. You may have seen it's from the stomach, where you kind of sit still and you're just gonna go,
Hmm.
and you pump from the navel in and out. So what you're doing there is you're sending energy all throughout the body, and there's all kinds of them. There's a gentleman named Michael Becker from he lives in Portugal. I took his breathwork class, got certified by him. He's
Hmm.
amazing. Really like his courses, but yeah, I would say breathwork would be really good for her and you as well. But definitely with the 12, she's gonna be a G at it.
And I don't know why my brain went here, but like we both lack the 14, but could both benefit from it.
Yep.
Is that like visually from the sacral, like that breath would come from the stomach up? Like, is my mind just trying to paint a picture there? Or is there something about the 14 and breath work and that sort of like,
I
is there something?
wonder. I wonder if one of your generators, or maybe you have a yoga institute too. I mean, your wellness center has yoga.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Hmm.
Maybe one of your yoga teachers has the 14.
And they should be teaching us breath work?
Yes,
Okay.
I like that.
That's interesting. Well, and we have access to all these amazing people that's what
Right?
they're teaching. And I don't want to teach it, but
No,
and it's
yeah,
funny, we go to these things reluctantly because we're in our 50s and we've never done it. And breathwork is, I think she'd agree, like it's uncomfortable. I've tried
sure,
all things and Hoppe I've done and really didn't like it. Like that whole like throat breath thing. There's like a burning and like it's just every
yeah,
time I do it, I'm like, ugh, not for me. But I also have found it incredibly profound. Where I'm like, it's too much truth in that breath work, right? Like
yeah.
it's super uncomfortable. It burns through my esophagus. Like I just like
Well, it's part of the burning off your karma, burning off the body that we don't need, the emotional body that we've created that we need to learn to work through. So that's where the breath work comes in.
cool. All right. Your battery's running out.
Yep,
Why don't we wrap this? We talk all day about this, I'm
yep.
sure. I'm gonna end the recording. Stay on here. We'll chat afterwards.
Okay.
And then, but I'm gonna hit end record. So goodbye, everybody. And thanks.
Goodbye.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.